We're in beautiful northern Thailand. We just caught this brown banded cobra, Naha Fuji. Very deadly, very venomous, very smart. But we've been out here for 9 days looking for some rare species, and we definitely found one. So we got about 30 different species of snake, and the very last one in this video is one of the rarest snakes in the world. So hope you enjoy. So we had a pretty cool day photographing some of the snakes we got. We got a slug snake, actually a couple slug snakes, a wolf snake, really nice rat snake that one of the guys caught right in front of our room. And yeah, that was a pretty nice sized snake. Took a little bit of work to get it to behave, but hopefully I got some really good footage of some of these snakes, a couple ones that I've never seen before, and hopefully tonight our goal is to find some snakes that a little bit more localized to this area up in northern Thailand. And I have my eye out for a banded krait. The wolf snake is a lookalike to the banded krait, and I'm pretty excited to see it, but we're off to eat dinner. And behind me is beautiful sunset over Nan. So stay tuned, tonight should be a pretty good night. No rain since we've been here, even though the forecast was torrential downpour for 48 hours. So let's cross our fingers and have good weather for the next week. The group that we went to Nan with was a really neat blend of herpetologists, zoologists, venom experts, and people that were just really passionate about the hobby of herping. And there were two different ways that we went about this. So during the day, we cruised the roads looking for diurnal snakes, and we hunted down some different habitats that we might find them. And diurnal snakes included some predators like cobras, we had some racers, rat snakes, and then at night we would be road cruising. So during the day, the roads warm up under the sun, and at night they stay warm. So snakes will either come and bask on the road or try and cross it and hunt for food. And we found a ton at night on the road. We found our biggest finds on the road. Starting on the very first night, we found a ton of these different green pit vipers. And there's 3 main species of pit vipers that live up at altitude where we were. And I haven't seen any of these. I'm used to white-lipped pit vipers, but we had some different species up here. So it was really neat to see. These are really interesting, non-aggressive snakes, and they do have some venom, but it's unlikely that they'll do some serious damage. And they were pretty well behaved for taking some cool shots. And then we also found a bunch of different amphibians that came out at night, and leeches. So these leeches were pretty insane, as you can see here. They changed direction. Now they're coming at me. I'm gonna walk over here, see if they change direction. Yep. They're chasing me again. This is so crazy. One snake that I had my eye out for a long time was the green cat snake. These are really cool, curious snakes, mildly venomous. I saw one on a branch the second I started walking down to a river, and that was really neat to see. And we saw a mountain pit viper as well. These are not that common, and they don't move a lot, so it's really hard to find unless you go to where they live. We saw some caterpillars, some massive amphibians like this giant tree frog, and this wandering spider. Now, I've seen wandering spiders just sitting on the wall with their legs spread out, as I'm sure you've seen in a lot of photos. These are massive spiders. They have a 12-inch maximum leg span, and seeing one climb around hunting at night, it was just captivating. They move so calculated, looking for food, looking for geckos like this, other insects, and are pretty much apex predators in their category. Overall, our first couple nights were really stock full of different species, and we hunted hard, and we haven't found that krait yet. Alright, so last night was pretty neat. It was super windy and cold. Actually had to put a long sleeve shirt on, but we found some really neat things. We found some scorpions, tons of arachnids, and one really notable keelback. Keelback was huge, biggest one I've ever seen, and it had a totally different coloration that made it, at least in the beginning, not look like what I was expecting. It was at eye level in a tree. On our way back, we were getting a little frustrated. We didn't see any snakes, and it just happens to be right next to us, right at eye level, and it just recently ate a meal, so we were all super stoked to see that. But anyways, today it's a nice mix of sun and clouds, and I believe it rained last night. Super windy, there's stuff thrown everywhere, leaves all over the road, but it should be a good day. Conditions are changing and looking pretty good. Daytime herping up in Nan was especially difficult. It is said that one daytime snake is worth 5 nighttime snakes, and we were lucky enough to find this keelback, which is just an awesome snake, and they were recently found to be highly venomous. Nan is surrounded by rivers, jungle, and altitude, which makes it unique to other places in Thailand that are pretty much lowland places, and there's a different variety of species, especially several different types of kraits that we had our eye out for, and there's plenty of lookalikes. It's very hard to find, as you'll see a little bit later in this video. But one thing that was really popular were these green tree pit vipers. There's beautiful pit vipers up here with bright red eyes. They're really fun to photograph. And another cool snake that we found was a blue-eyed rat snake. So this one doesn't have blue eyes yet, but it is just stunning when you look at it. Very bitey, as well as this copperhead racer.
What happened?
Shaming good.
Yeah,
they play dead. If you like, see?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And then you can like pick them up and they go completely limp.
Oh my gosh, that's
awesome.
amazing.
They got a whole arsenal of different defensive techniques, and this is the dumbest one of them all, for sure.
That's the way it goes from staring you down in the face.
Yeah. If the whole like scary thing doesn't work, they're just like. Look at it.
Yeah, limping. My boy gone flaccid.
Now he's awake.
He's realized.
Yeah. We're not easily fooled by this snake.
Not my
It's
fault.
like it's not working when I'm killing it.
The countryside up in northern Thailand, as you've seen in several of my past videos, it's such a cool place. It's full of waterfalls and mountains and canyons and rivers, and it's a lush jungle that you don't really find in the more tropical areas of Thailand. Lots of different varieties of plants, lots of different geography, and most certainly snakes, and that's why it came out up in the northern part of Thailand, because there's species that have only been seen a few times, and most of those new discoveries have come from this province. All right, we're halfway through the trip in Nan. We went for a hike out here. We were gonna go take a look at some caves, farmland as well. There's a lot of corn, sugarcane, and just a really beautiful day. But the past few nights have been pretty good. We've been running into a lot of slug snakes. We've been finding a lot of roadkill of the rarest species that we were looking at. We found a McClellan's coral snake. There's been some forest cobras, and then as of last night we found a krait, but unfortunately that one was dead. I'm still on the hunt for a live krait. So I had stopped by the river and put my bag down for a moment. So this is my bag, and then we just noticed to the side of the bag that there's this green pit viper, Lana subspecies of green viper right here near my bag. How cool is that? This thing is awesome. So by nature of nighttime herping, I wasn't able to capture footage of most of the snakes that we caught, mainly because of low light or just us running out of the car as quick as possible to catch it before it ran away. But we found 2 brown-banded cobras out after sunset. This one was a lot more docile than one of the other ones that you'll see in a second. They're highly intelligent, highly venomous, and they notice that when you take your eyes off of them, that it's time to start inching a little bit closer to you, and they'll deliver a very deadly bite if they have the opportunity to do so. So we had to be careful handling them. And this other cobra was a lot more on the offensive side. This was the only one that hooded up, and it would deliver a bite if it had the opportunity to, if you got a little bit too close.
Isn't it weird how, like, if you look at the head on this side, it's like it's like 6 more scales down than the head on the right side?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Is that normal?
Maybe not, maybe.
Yes! That's what I've been waiting for. There you go.
That was a loud one. That was good. So what you're about to see here is probably the only footage, especially 4K footage, that has ever been filmed of this snake. So this is the Paraphrimbius lau. This is the Laotian bearded snake. And this has only been found just a few times in history. And back in 2015, it was found dead. I think there were 3 specimens found dead where they identified this new species of snake. And just 2 years later, they found some live samples, but pretty much a handful or less have ever been caught, and we were so lucky that David was able to find the snake on the road. It is a really interesting snake. It has almost rubbery scales. It has a little beard, and it's a very slow-moving snake as well, as you can see here. And a find like this, it might not look that impressive, but this is an extremely rare snake that I'll probably never see again in my lifetime. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, we've been on the hunt for banded kraits. So they're black and white snakes, and they have lookalikes like this wolf snake. It's not venomous, but it's really aggressive and twitchy, and one way that I've figured out to de-escalate snakes is to hold them up to foliage. It'll take its attention away from biting you, and it'll start trying to climb this foliage. So it gives you the opportunity to take some video, take some pictures without it being too twitchy. And we also caught another copperheaded racer. This is a very dramatic snake, and it's very bitey. It puts on a show, and if that doesn't work, it just plays dead and tries and tricks you. So this snake actually tricked one of our group members who thought it was dead and put it on the ground, and when he wasn't looking, it just ran away. So we actually lost that snake.
You don't fuck with those.
Yeah, I chicken
One thing that I wanted to capture in this video was the process of staging. So what staging means is taking snakes that we've had captive, either we caught it the night before or the morning of, and taking it to a natural looking location. And most of those photos you see online, you're lucky if you get an in situ shot, which is basically meaning when you see the snake, you take a picture in its natural environment. Most of these pictures are staged photos where you have a natural backdrop, but you have a de-escalated snake in a controlled setting to get those perfect pictures. We use these diffusers to reduce glare and reflection because those are things that can get in the way of showing the true pattern of these snakes. As you can see here, shining light red at the snake produces a lot of glare, and that makes it a little bit harder to capture the patterns and color of the snake. There were 2 snakes that stood out during this photo session. They're very dramatic snakes. This green cat snake likes to open its mouth and bite, and it is mildly venomous, and it can hurt you. And we also had this bronzeback racer. They're both very dramatic snakes. They open their mouths wide, they puff up. They think that they have a chance at intimidating you, which for some reason I'm not sure why they would think that way, but I'm sure it's worked in the past. We caught a really neat variety of amphibians and reptiles on this trip. Really neat to look at, and I just love the species diversity here in Thailand. I grew up here. I've seen a lot, and on this trip I ran into a lot more species that I've just never ran into before, and it was really neat, especially these slug snakes and blue-eyed rat snakes. I've never seen these before, and the colors, the patterns, just absolutely stunning. One of the other places that we staged snakes was our accommodation. It had some really nice bamboo and grass where we could capture a lot more detail of these snakes. And this one in particular stood out. It's just beautiful. This red bamboo rat snake is an incredible snake. The colors on this thing, the patterns on this thing, and how docile it was really makes it an awesome find. Alright, so the whole time we've been out here, I've been looking for kraits, and they're black and white banded snakes. They're really cool, highly venomous, and there is one lookalike to these kraits, and it is the wolf snake. So this is a Lycodon fasciatus, I believe, and these are also black and white banded, as you could see. Really cool snakes, and besides the head and some of the coloration on these white stripes, it's very difficult to tell the difference between these and actual kraits. But when I found this, I was walking along some leaf litter and looking for kraits, and this thing comes out of nowhere. I see black and white bands, get so excited, and then as soon as we pick it up, we realize, nope, it's a wolf snake. But this was so far the closest I've gotten to one of the target species that we've been out here, basically looking for kraits and cat snakes and coral snakes. Those are the main snakes. So this guy is really nice. Apparently this specific species doesn't get too big, but really curious, really beautiful, and we're gonna let him go tonight once we get some photos of him. Here's another snake that I want to talk about. So this guy right here, this is an oriental whip snake, a vine snake. And yesterday we caught one that was a lot younger. I'm gonna see if this is gonna focus on him. It's a little too small, but we caught one that was a little younger, and when they're younger they look a lot more yellow. This guy is obviously a climber, but yeah, I used to have a couple of these as pets when I was a kid, and I love these snakes. You know, they do bite. They have the coolest eyes, and I know that this is a little blurry, but I'll show in a second what they look like. But these are the coolest snakes ever. You could see, hopefully, they stick their tongue out, but it doesn't actually flicker. When they get nervous, they're just watching and they leave their tongue out. And I'm not sure exactly why they do that, but this guy's thinking about something, and as soon as he gets close to a plant, he'll just start climbing. That's all they do, is just climb. And actually last night, he was sleeping on a plant. He was sleeping on a palm tree super high up, and we saw him, but we couldn't get him down. But we let a cat snake go, and the cat snake immediately ran to the top of the banana tree, and I'm not sure if he tried to eat him, but he went to the leaf this guy was sleeping on, freaked him out, and then he jumped down on me. So that's how I caught this vine snake. And yeah, beautiful snake. They puff up. They are rear-fanged, mildly venomous. I've been bitten when I was a kid, and I remember having some inflammation and some really prickly feeling, like a prickly sensation, almost like electric shocks running down my wrist. But he's puffing up a little bit more. There's some black markings coming out as his scales start spreading. But yeah, this is a really nostalgic snake, and he's doing well right now. Normally they're a little bit more bitey, but this guy is just trying to escape. But we'll get some pictures of him in a bit and let him go. All right, so of all the snakes that we've found so far, there's one that really stands out to me just because of how awesome they are. And this is a family of slug snakes. It's the Paraeas family. And we have 4 different species. I believe there's 5 that are in this area. And we were lucky enough to catch 4 of them. So if the camera doesn't focus on it, I'll try in a second to use a different one. But these are slug snakes. They eat snails, they eat slugs. They have this blunt nose that they use to get into a snail's shell and just suck it out. I have 2 of these twin slug snakes. They're nice, bright, and orange. Right here I have a high altitude mountain slug snake. Really, really solid coloring. It almost looks like soapstone. And the underside, and this is a low altitude mountain slug snake. So that was a high altitude. They're caught basically different altitudes. The altitudes out here that we're herping can go up to, I think, 1,800 meters. So different altitudes, different snakes, and we also have to make sure we release them at the same altitude. This is a Mengla slug-eating snake, bird moray, Paris bird moray, and it's a lot taller, a lot more yellow and banded than the twins. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to keep pet snakes again, I would definitely make sure I have these because they're so easy to feed. But I love these snakes so much. Once you see the close-up of their faces, you'll understand. But yep, my favorite snakes so far on this trip, the slug snakes. If you've made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. This was a great experience for me. I'm happy to share it with you. This was day 9, the very last night of this trip. And this is the part that you've been waiting for. In the beginning, I did say that we caught something really rare, really special, and I'm about to show you exactly what that is. This is an extremely, extremely rare snake. Extremely venomous, one of the most venomous land snakes in the world. And I can't even begin to tell you the stoke that every single one of us had finding this snake. I want to throw in a disclaimer really quickly. Do not pick up snakes if you do not have a perfect ID. There's a lot of lookalikes out there. There's a lot of dangerous snakes that like to bite early and often, and you have to know what the snake is and its behavior before you handle it.
The head.
Oh my
that's
goodness.
What you need to concentrate on is the head scales.
Do you want to hold the tail?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Rupert wanted
We just found one of the most dangerous land snakes in the world. And extremely rare. Bungarus, slowinskii. It's beautiful. This is exactly what we've been looking for 9 days straight. We just found it.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful.
I know.
Bungarus, slowinskii. Possibly rarest krait in the world.
I would say, is there any krait that's rarer than this?
No fucking way.
Like, how many specimens alive have ever been seen anywhere?
We've caught so
Probably
many
like 10.
lookalikes every time. Frustrating.
We like doubled the number in the last 2 years.
We run out of the car
We've
every
left.
time screaming, and it's like, nope, wolf snake, wolf snake. Yeah, these scales, like hexagons.
It's insane.
Fuck, that's a cool picture.
Unless you're part of the group that want to go back and drink beers, you're going to get a chance to like take nice pictures with this later. So.
But can you take a...
The underside, the bands don't even connect.
I've got a bag.
Like, how crazy is that?
Just let Anton grab a quick.
If you have a fear of snakes, I hope this video helped you overcome that just a little bit. These snakes don't want to bite you unless you really mess with them. Just observe them from a distance. They're all so beautiful. But anyways, I'm No Fear Nomad. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content, but thanks for watching.